The Canine Hero, Max's mission to save Grandma Rose. In the quiet town of Maplewood, where the streets were lined with old oak trees and the morning smelled of fresh coffee and baked bread, there lived a retired canine dog named Max. Max was a German shepherd with a noble past. He had served in the police force for 8 years, trained to sniff out danger, chase down criminals, and protect those in need. After his retirement, Max was adopted by Officer Daniels, a young cop who had worked with Max since his first day on the force. Officer Daniels lived in a cozy house on the edge of town, next door to a sweet old lady named Grandma Rose. She was the kind of woman who baked cookies for the neighborhood kids, grew sunflowers in her garden, and always had a kind word for anyone passing by. Rose had lived alone since her husband passed away, but she never seemed lonely. She had Max. Max loved Grandma Rose. Every morning he'd trot over to her porch, tail wagging, and she'd be waiting with a treat or a gentle scratch behind the ears. They had a quiet, unspoken friendship, the kind that needed no words. But one chilly autumn morning, something went terribly wrong. It was a Tuesday. Officer Daniels had left early for a shift, and Max had wandered over to Rose's porch as usual. But that day, Rose wasn't outside. Her rocking chair sat still, no coffee cup, no warm smile. Max tilted his head, sensing something was off. He barked once, then again, pacing in front of the door. No response. Max's instincts kicked in. He sniffed the air, his ears twitching. Then he let out a sharp, loud bark and began pawing at the door. Inside, Rose lay on the kitchen floor. She had slipped on spilled water and hit her head. Conscious but weak, she couldn't reach the phone. Her hip ached, and her vision was blurry. She whispered for help, hoping someone would hear. Max did. He sprinted back to his house and began barking frantically at Officer Daniels' wife, Emily. Confused, she followed Max as he ran back to Rose's door and began whining and pawing at it. Emily knocked, called out, but no answer. Trusting Max's behavior, she called 911. When the paramedics arrived, Max refused to move from the door until they got it open. Inside they found Rose, pale and in pain, but alive. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors said another hour without help could have been fatal. She had a concussion and a fractured hip, but thanks to Max, she would recover. The news of Max's actions spread quickly. The local paper ran a story with the headline, "Canine Hero Saves Elderly Neighbor." Children from the town sent in drawings of Max in a superhero cape. The mayor even presented him with a golden collar tag that read, "Hero of Maplewood." But for Max, none of that mattered. All he cared about was that Rose was safe. When she came home from the hospital, still weak but smiling, Max was there. He gently laid his head on her lap as she sat on the porch once again. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "You saved my life, sweetheart." From that day on, Max never left Rose's side for long. He'd nap beside her rocking chair, walk her carefully down the path when she needed fresh air, and bark protectively if a stranger came too close. And Rose, in return, made sure Max had a special treat every evening, his favorite peanut butter biscuits. To the people of Maplewood, now Max was more than a retired police dog. He was a guardian, a loyal friend, and a silent angel watching over the most vulnerable among them. He didn't need a badge or a uniform. His heart was enough. And so, in a little town where stories often fade like morning mist, the tale of Max, the brave canine who answered a silent call for help, was told again and again, not just because he was a hero, but because he reminded everyone of something simple yet profound. Sometimes the greatest protectors walk on four legs,